Hello everyone, in this video we're going to learn how to multiply and divide fractions. It builds a little bit on the previous video. You can see the card pop up in the top right corner. And we're going to cover the theory as you see on the screen. We're going to cover 4 examples together, and then you're going to leave with some exercises to do at home. Don't worry, the link is in the description below for the solutions. If you're new here, my name is Olivier and I'm a certified math and physics teacher in Ontario who is currently doing a master's in statistics at Carleton University. I just wanted to note before we get going that if you hear some Velcro noises, it's just from the brace that I have on my hand because my hand is currently broken, which will lead in slightly worse writing than usual. I will do my best, but focus on my voice and I'll try to make it clear what I'm writing here. There's not that much writing. And without further ado, let's get to it. We're going to start with the theory here as you see on the screen. We're on the left, we're going to have the multiplication, and on the right, we're going to have the division of fractions. So for multiplication of fraction, the key phrase is we multiply across. So we multiply across. So what do I mean by that? Is that the numerators together and the denominators together. So what does that mean is we multiply across. So it's A times C over B times D. So it's going to be A times C over B times D. Don't worry, the solutions are going to be linked in the description below, so you can always see what I wrote typed neatly so you don't have to rely on my writing. And so that's it. It's as simple as this. So when we do the multiplication, it would just be AC over BD. And don't worry, example A below is going to be an example of this. And now it's pretty simple, right? So we move on to division. And we have the key phrase is flip and multiply. So flip and multiply. So the first step is flip, and then step 2 is to multiply. So invert the second fraction. So the first fraction, we leave it as is. We flip the second one. That's what invert means. And then we change the division sign to a multiplication sign. So what this means is that really this is A over B divided by C over D. That's what this bar here is really a division sign. And then we flip the second one. So we flip this one and we change this to a multiplication sign. So what this results in is we leave the first one the same, change this to multiplication sign, and we flip it. So it would be D over C. And now how do we multiply fraction? Well, if you look on the left, we multiply across. So that would be A times D over BC. Okay, so that's the general form, but the key things you need to remember is multiply across and flip and multiply. If you remember this, you can generally remember the algorithm here. So let's move on to the examples. For example A, we have 3/4 times 2/9. How do we multiply fractions? We multiply across. So that would mean we do 3 times 2 over 4 times 9. So if we simply do the multiplication, that would be 6 over, I think it's 4 times 9, that's 36. Can we simplify this? Yes, so we divide by 6, and then that would be equal to 1 over 6. So the answer is 1 over 6. Is there a smarter way to do this? The answer is yes. So I'll just write method number 2 is simplify first. So simplify first. And you'll see what I mean here. Above I wrote for the multiplication and division. In the note, you should simplify the fractions before multiplying. You can only simplify with multiplication of fractions. So when we multiply fractions, we can simplify before. When we look at this example A again, what we have is 3 over 4 times 2/9. Can we simplify? Well, here we have this, if we divide by 3, that would be 1. This divided by 3, that would be 3. So keep in mind I'm dividing by 3, and now I can change colors because here I'm dividing by 2, so that would be 1. Here I'm dividing by 2, so that would be 2. So then when I rewrite this, really what I have is 1 over 2 times 1 over 3. We can't simplify more, so we just multiply across now, and then that would be 1 over 6. And note how our two answers are exactly the same. We have 1 over 6 in both cases. Now if we move on to number B, we have a division of fraction. The key thing to remember for division of fraction is flip and multiply. So I'll just rewrite the equation as 2 over 9 divided by 4/7. So that's the key thing, is realizing that this fraction here is really a division sign. So once we have this, we can just do the flip and multiply. So note that I can't simplify here. You can only simplify when you're doing multiplication. So flip and multiply. So we flip the second one. The first one stays the same. We've changed the multiplication side, and now we flip. So then it would be 7 over 4. Can I simplify? The answer is yes. We can simplify the 2 and the 4. So then that would be 1, and then that would be 2. And then, because we divide by 2, and then we have 7 times 1, which is 7, over 18. Note that we can't simplify this. So that's it. That's the answer. We can do it without simplification. It would simply be, I'll just write method 2, or way number 2. So then that would be 2/9 times 7/4. If we multiply across, that would be 14 over 36. We can divide both by 2, so then that would be 7 over 18, and those are identical. Number C is a little bit trickier. We have 2 over a fraction. You see how the line is a little bit bigger here? That's 2 divided by 6/5. So let's just rewrite this. We have 2 divided by 6 over 5. And this is a division of fraction. We have a fraction that is divided by a fraction. Well, you're going to say 2 isn't a fraction. Well, technically it is, right? It is a fraction. It's 2 divided by 1, because 2 divided by 1 is still 2. That's 2 wholes. And then how do we divide fraction? We flip the second one and we multiply. So then we keep the first one as is, we multiply, and then it would be 5 over 6. Can we simplify? Yes, we can do divided by 2, so then that would be 3. So really what we have is 5 times 1, so that would be 5 over 3 times 1, so that would be 3. So the answer is 5/3, or we can convert it to a mixed number, so then that would be 1 and 2/3, or roughly 1.66 if we leave it as a decimal. I don't like decimals personally. We might as well keep it as a fraction, and that's usually the best type of fraction to compare here. So again, we could do it another way without simplification, but if I just bring your attention to this one, it would be 10. 2 times 5 is 10. 1 over 6. 1 times 6 is 6. Then we can divide by 2, so then that would be 5/3 as well. So the key thing for example C is realizing what is divided by what. It's not 2 over 6 divided by 5. That wouldn't give the right answer here. Similarly, if we move on to exercise D, we have 3/5 divided by 3. So it's kind of like number C, but this time it's the top fraction, and you see how there is a bigger line here. And sometimes they'll leave it ambiguous, and that is not good. That's why we prefer to write it out like this, because that's 3/5 divided by 3. And again, that's a division of fraction. That is the same, when you divide by 3, that's the same thing as multiplying by 1/3. So we can rewrite it. We divide, flip, and multiply. So you can imagine the imaginary 1. So we have 3 over 5 times 1 over 3. And then how do we multiply fractions? We multiply across, so we have 3 over 15. And we can simplify even further. We divide by 3, that's 1. Divide by 3, that's 5. So we have 1/5. Usually when you can simplify your final answer, that means you could have simplified in the middle. So in the middle here, you see that the 3's would cancel when you divide by 3. And you're just left with the 1/5. So it'd be 1 over 5 as a final answer. And know that you could compute all of these in your calculator, and 1/5 would give you 0.2 if you calculate it. And some calculators, you can go from, if you click this button, it goes from the decimal to the standard form of a fraction. Here are 6 exercises for you to practice. Don't worry, the solutions are in the description below, and I'll link a video for Khan Academy if you need extra help. Feel free to always rewatch the first bit of the video, and I encourage you to pause this video and attempt the problem by yourself. If you've enjoyed this video, you're probably going to enjoy the other videos in the Math Fundamentals playlist, so make sure to check those out. As of now, the best way to support the channel is to share this video with your friends, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time with Do the Work.